Yo, how's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Now, in a recent interview on his YouTube channel, Israel Adesanya broke the silence finally regarding his loss to Sean Strickland at UFC 293. Adesanya, a two-time UFC middleweight champion, expressed his feelings of being quietly confident after watching the fight despite the shocking defeat. Adesanya had been the heavy favorite to win the fight, but Strickland dominated him throughout the match, even knocking him down in the first round. Adesanya describing his experience in the cage as feeling like a bad dream rather than a nightmare, and he felt unable to find his rhythm due to Strickland's relentless pressure and unique guard. He admitted that he didn't want to carry the same intensity into the fight against Strickland as he had in his initially planned opponent, Dricus du Plessis, but still believed he was at his best until he stepped into the cage. Adesanya expressed his desire to become a three-time UFC middleweight champion and stated that the belt was just a nice accessory to him. Regarding his future in the UFC, Adesanya simply said, "We'll see," indicating that he has not given up on his career and believes that his story is still being written. So there's a few things to cover with this story. You know, when Israel Adesanya describing his feeling as being quietly confident when reflecting on his loss, it suggests that he's maintaining a certain level of self-assurance and belief in his abilities despite this major setback. This phrase emphasizes that while he may have suffered a surprising and disappointing crazy loss to Sean Strickland, he has still the confidence in him, and he still believes in his skills and his potential to bounce back 100% from this defeat. It could also indicate that Adesanya is not dwelling on the loss or letting it affect his overall confidence or self-esteem. Instead, he may be quietly assessing the situation, learning from his mistakes, and preparing to come back stronger in his future fights. It's a mindset that suggests that, you know, he is not overly discouraged by any one loss and is maintaining a positive outlook on his career moving forward. So that is very, very great to hear from Israel Adesanya. And, you know, it's very interesting that Israel Adesanya mentioned Sean Strickland's guard, right? Because his base and his stance and his guard, you know, is something that I don't think Israel Adesanya has ever seen before, right? Because even when he was fighting in his kickboxing days, usually Israel Adesanya would see people that were standing in that kickboxing base or in that Dutch kickboxing base or even the Muay Thai you know, base, where people tend to stand a little bit more square. Sean Strickland's base and guard is a little bit different, right? He has a narrow stance, which tells me that he values balance a lot, and not just that, he's in a bladed stance, which is a defensive base, right? Whenever you're in a bladed stance, you are in a defensive base, ready to check kicks. For those of you guys that don't know, a person that has a bladed stance and a very narrow stance and was very successful in being a defensive counterpuncher was a fighter like Jojo Petrosian, which a lot of people would consider to be one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. Something similar to that, right? And not just that, you know, Sean Strickland has a Philly shell guard, which, you know, whenever you mix that up with a bladed stance, you become a smaller target, right? Compared to someone who has a squared stance and someone who has a Philly shell. The Philly shell is not just a defensive stance, it's not just a defensive guard, you also make yourself a smaller target. And I don't really think that Israel Adesanya has seen anyone, you know, have that, you know, type of base. So it's really interesting that Israel Adesanya is pointing that out, and hopefully, you know, he does something, right? In my opinion, there's other things in MMA that you can do, right? Because MMA is a sport where you could incorporate different martial arts, right, to combat someone who's being very defensively responsible. So, you know, hopefully Israel Adesanya is able to do things a little bit different in his game plan that could make Sean Strickland's stance and base be a negative for him in the next upcoming fight. You know, all in all, Israel Adesanya says that the story is still being written for him. He's expressing his determination and optimism. You know, is showing that he has continued ambition, resilience, and ultimately has future plans. But most importantly, he's learning from his defeat, analyzing the fight, and you know, hopefully he's able to put on a better performance whenever he does fight Sean Strickland for the second time. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you guys agree with any of the things that I said in this video? If not, let me know down in the comments, and I cannot wait to read them. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.